You are listening to Freshly Squeezed.
But I always felt that it was almost too close. It's like looking into a mirror that's too sharp, and then it's almost harder to write in German than in English.
Aloha, welcome back to Freshly Squeezed, the new music podcast where you can discover your next favourite band every week. 3 up-and-coming artists to get your ears around. Always relatively eclectic, I think, but leaning on the indie rock side of things. Last week, in fact, was a very eclectic mix of tunes, but absolutely brilliant. If you didn't listen to the episode with Samuel Taylor, Venus Girls, and Greet the Chief last week, I suggest you go back and listen to that, but not before you've checked out this week's trio of brilliant acts. Last time we spoke to John Denton, it was just after he'd released his debut tune. He's back and he's going to tell us about his brand new tune, Someone Else's Game.
I think I might just take it on the chin, 'cause I know you're right and I know you'll win.
Looking forward to hearing where John's got up to in the last 12 months. We're also going to hear from Pina P with the beautiful and slightly country Bittersweet.
It's so sad, it's so good. Same time, feels bittersweet to cry.
Reminds me a bit of First Aid Kit, if you're aware of First Aid Kit. Definitely in that kind of space. We'll talk to her shortly as well, but we're going to kick off with a bit of punk, courtesy of Pet Needs and their new tune.
Hey you, are you, okay, I'm not today. I feel a little out of control. Hey you, are you, okay, I'm not today. I feel a little out of control of my life, like I'm falling from heights. I tried to catch the view, but got dust in my eyes, mate. Hey you, are you, okay, I'm not today. I'm not today. I'm gonna write verses vaguely positive in the hope that it's radio friendly. Here it is in the form of a graduate list. Watch out, it's stomach churning. I'm lucky enough to work in the arts and write songs about how life is hard. I'm a brand new beautiful free guitar in the spare room with the heat on. Life is so amazing.
That is merely a taste. You'll get more of that tune in a minute, but not before we've heard from Johnny from Pet Needs. How do, Johnny?
I'm good, Jim. Thanks so much for having us. How are you doing?
Very good. So double celebration, new single out now, new album on the way as well. The single's called Hey You, open brackets, are you okay, close brackets. I'm a big fan of a song with extra punctuation. I like a bracket in a song.
Nice.
And we've got the album coming out as well, which is Elbows Out, This Is Capitalism, comes out later in March. Now, I'm interested because you said first album you described as kind of like a greatest hits of the band up until that point.
Sure.
Second album you said was you were throwing everything at it because at that point you never knew whether there was going to be a third album. You just wanted to give it your all. Third album was you kind of satisfying yourselves a little bit, writing the album that you wanted to write as a band. So if you were going to give us a vibe, give us a headline for album number 4, where's that?
Yeah, so this album, it's really interesting because we didn't have pressure from the label to release another album because we'd released like 3 in really quick succession. And we were like, right, we're going to have a couple of years off writing. We're just going to tour what we've got. And then songs started emerging and themes started emerging. And I don't want to kind of like throw the word concept album around too lightly, but it does kind of follow a story all the way through. And it's about a guy who's based on me mistakenly acquiring a secondhand punk rock career at auction and then struggling and failing and sometimes succeeding to try and make it work. So it's something that's kind of fiction based on autobiographical life.
So is there a narrative that runs through the album from track 1 to however many tracks there are? Is there a story that runs through it chronologically?
Yes, yeah, exactly that. And it starts with me at an auction. And then the whole album is 16 tracks, but 12 of those tracks are the songs. And then the rest of the tracks are either kind of like voice notes and phone calls and stuff. So I was kind of inspired weirdly by A Grand Don't Come For Free by The Streets, where they have like individual songs that can stand alone and they can be like bangers on their own. And you can enjoy it in that way. But then when you sit down and you put the headphones on, you see how everything weaves together. You can enjoy it on a completely different level.
That must really change the way you look at an album as a whole, because I guess historically, like you look at the albums of the noughties, for example, and bands would go, right, these are our 4 strongest songs. They become the first 4 songs on the album. it was less like that maybe beforehand and there was more of a kind of flow to it. But here you're going, well, these songs need to go in this position because that is the order the story's in. So does that kind of open up a creative freedom, or does it almost tie your hands behind your back a little bit?
I kind of enjoyed it. And also when we were writing other songs, it was like, oh, we need to find a song to take like the character from this place to this place as well, which was really cool. And I think sometimes by giving yourself restrictions, it makes you go into different creative spaces, which is really fun. We've never overwritten for albums. We've like never like written 16 songs, then cut it down to 12. I've always kind of had an idea of an album being a bit of a story anyway. Just this one is the first one with like an overarching narrative.
With it having, in your words, no pressure, the label not putting demands on you to make this album, did it feel more like it did in the early days of a band when you're sort of doing something for the love of doing it more than because you've got to make something for a suit somewhere in an office?
You know what, Jim? I think that it's kind of exactly that, really. Like the label were always like, for every album, they were always like, oh, it'd be good if you could get this other album out now while momentum's building and stuff. But then literally saying to myself, I'm not going to write for a while. I think if I'd not said that to myself, I don't think these ideas would have come. I mean, when we started writing it, I didn't even know if it was going to be a Pet Needs album. Like when we started, and there's early demos of some of the songs that are literally just completely electronic instruments, and I think we'll release them one day because they sound absolutely nuts. And then the songwriting, even though like the arrangements were so different, the songwriting was still kind of felt very us. So I brought them to my brother, who's the guitarist in the band, and we started arranging them as Pet Needs songs. And it just kind of, to me, like just feels really fresh. And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, saying that it reinvigorated what I felt when we were writing Fractured Party music, when I thought no one was going to hear it. When I first started writing these as almost a side project at the start, I didn't know if anyone was going to hear them, and I've completely fallen in love with them.
I guess that's kind of fitting in a way, because 2026 marks a decade as a band, which you started with your brother almost by chance. How well do you remember those early days when you rewind 10 years? Are they still crystal clear in your memory?
Well, not the early days, because my brother had moved down from Derby, where I was born, to live with me in Colchester. And the first few months were just like pure partying, because we hadn't been together for an extended period of time for years, really. But then, like, I definitely remember all the key moments. I remember the first band practice. I remember the first shows. And we've just been doing a podcast actually where we are like focusing like one episode on each year. So it's been really good to relive it and just kind of realize how far we've come in that time. Because when you're in it, when you're living it, it always feels like stuff is moving quite slow, weirdly. And then to be able to now look back over the 10 years and see those decisions that we made and the nature of chaos stuff, where if we hadn't made this one tiny decision, we wouldn't have met this person and gone onto this thing and gone onto this thing. And I won't be sitting here today talking to you, you know?
If you travel back those 10 years and sat in front of yourself and described the journey you'd been on, because I guess there's two trains of thoughts. In those early days, half of your brain is going, we're going to be the Foo Fighters, we're going to play stadiums, we're going to have private jets. And the other one is, we might play a gig in our local pub and that would be amazing, but that would be the extent of it. If you kind of went back to those early days and went, look, this is what's going to happen, do you think Johnny 10 years ago would have been happy with where you've ended up?
I don't think I would believe me. Like, I genuinely don't. Like, just like the friends we've made and the fact that we've toured with like Laura Jane Grace from Against Me and Frank Turner, and like we've got like one of the phone calls that we have on the new album, I'm phoning up CJ Ramone from the Ramones for some advice and stuff. It's all of my favorite bands I seem to have like toured with and know and I'm friends with now, and it's just amazing to rub shoulders with people who are still my idols, but I get to call my friends now and tour the world. So yeah, I don't think I would have believed it for a second.
One of those moments is coming up soon, I guess, because the rest of this month, part of it you're going to spend in Germany supporting Buzzcocks, which I'm assuming, just listening to your music, they're one of those bands that would have influenced your sound and influenced you in the early days. Is that going to feel weird, stepping on stage alongside them?
That's going to be nuts, absolutely nuts. Like, you're right, like we sometimes get put into the kind of punk genre, and I think we're kind of punk adjacent in a lot of ways, in exactly the same way that Buzzcocks were, where they were in with the Pistols and the Clash and the Damned and all those kind of bands, but they had such a knack for melody and such a pop sensibility as well. And I cannot wait. And I always enjoy, we've just toured with Levelers as well, I always enjoy touring with bands that my dad has heard of. because it legitimizes our career. He hasn't just got one son that is a professional musician now, he's got two. So he's got two to be worried about. But every time we talk of a band that he's heard of, it kind of makes him feel a little less anxious about our career decisions.
Right, let's talk targets before we wrap up. So, album out in March, like I said. Last time out, Intermittent Fast Living, went to number 17 in the album charts. And I remember you saying that you were gunning for a top 40 and it kind of got into the top 20, which is really impressive. Do you set targets for this stuff, or does kind of chart positions not really count for much in your world anyway?
Chart positions absolutely count, Jim. For me, completely. I think that the chart is the last way that a small band can kind of impact the mainstream, because everything else is controlled by like major labels and tastemakers and all those kind of things. And from getting the number 17, it got us onto like national television. We're on ITV1 on the Chris McCausland show. Our like festivals got upgraded to us playing main stage and everything. So even though it's not a sign of quality, and it's not even massively a sign of popularity anymore, it's a sign of having a few thousand people that really, really care about you to get involved in a campaign, but it has massive real life impact. So we're ambitiously saying that we have our sights set on a top 10. If you get a top 10, you get a trophy, which I'm very excited about. I'd really like a top 10 trophy. So we'll see what happens. But it feels like one of the last ways that small bands can impact the mainstream without top-down control.
If you get the trophy, where's it going?
It's going straight on my mantelpiece, but also about a month after like we hopefully get the trophy, I'm going to become a dad for the first time. So if we get the trophy, I'm going to bring it to the birth.
Wow, amazing. Johnny, lovely to speak to you. Good luck with the album when it comes. Even more good luck with fatherhood.
Thank you so much, Jim.
It's arguably more important and definitely more difficult, I'd say. So congratulations on both those things. We're going to get the new tune on Freshly Squeezed, but lovely to speak to you.
Mate, thanks so much, man. Cheers.
Ignore the disco loadout and know we are the disco. I'm so far away from my postcode. I feel a little out of control of my life, like I'm falling from heights. I try to catch the view, but got dust in my eyes. Hey you, why you, okay, I'm not today. I'm not today.
I really like that from Pet Needs. Hey you. As I said, I'm a big fan of punctuation. Open brackets. Are you okay? Close brackets. And after Johnny told us a little bit more about the forthcoming album, looking forward to getting stuck into that as well. This is Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast. And if you've listened for some time, you will know that sometimes I struggle a little bit with the geography of where bands come from. Like this.
We had a Belgian band called Triggerfinger on the show. So you've done the whole interview with them, talking about being on these Belgian radio stations and everything and being Belgian. Then you play the song and you refer to them as being German.
Last week it was the great Leslie who got close to being Germany's entry for Eurovision. This week it's that lot, Triggerfinger, also from Germany. Well, it happened again. I was speaking to Pina P and, well, you're about to hear what happened. Next up on Freshly Squeezed, Pina P, beautiful new tune, Bittersweet, out off her third album. Pina is on the podcast. How are you doing? You okay?
Hey, so lovely to meet you. Yeah, I'm doing fine, thanks.
Lovely to meet you as well. So you're from Sweden, but Zurich-based, I think I'm right in saying that. Are you there now? Are you in Zurich as we speak?
Yeah, I'm not from Sweden, but from Switzerland. Yeah.
From Switzerland? That makes perfect sense then. I had a lot of questions about why you were in Sweden and now moved to Switzerland, but you're in Switzerland because that's where you live.
Yeah, and that's where I am right now.
Give me a taste of kind of the international world around you. If you went over to your window and looked out, what would you be able to see?
Right now, I'm actually able to see a lake that's a little bit outside of Zurich because I'm right now watering the plants of a friend. That's why I'm here.
That's exactly how I'd imagine Switzerland to be. So that's good that you're overlooking a lake. Interestingly, I was going to start this conversation with a comparison to another Swedish act because I thought you were from Sweden. And I was going to talk about First Aid Kit because I think there's a sonic similarity between what you're doing and what First Aid Kit are kind of doing with that big folk country sound to their music. Is there much of that kind of a scene in Switzerland? Is folk and country a popular genre out there?
I think I can't really say anything about the Switzerland as such, but in Zurich there's quite a scene of mostly female, my-aged musicians that are really into this folk kind of music. And yeah, but I mean, a scene in Zurich is, in terms of size, probably not what you would imagine if you're coming from the UK. So it's like, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 artists that are really into the same kind of music that I am.
I'm always interested in the choices that's made when you decide to perform music not in your native tongue. Is it easier to write in English for you, or is it the influence of artists around you that have caused you to make your musical decisions, or are there other considerations that you've decided not to sing in your native tongue?
I think it's a combination of many things. I think first of all, it's because the music that I like to listen to is mostly or actually all in English. And then the other thing is that my grandmother is from New York, and I think through her, my father kind of passed on some kind of longing to the US to me. And with that longing comes the whole folk and pop culture. And I think that makes it kind of natural for me that my music needs to be in English too. Yeah. And also, I mean, I think I've tried to write in German. And some years ago, I've also written a song in German, but I always felt that it was almost too close. It's like looking into a mirror that's too sharp. And then it's almost harder to write in German than in English.
That's interesting. I mean, it's interesting that you say that it's almost too close, but also interesting that you've got those connections with the US, because there is an Americana feel about your music. When I was listening, I could hear a hint of a kind of American accent in Bittersweet as well. Is it almost like sometimes you feel like you're playing a character when you're performing?
Absolutely, yeah. It's not a character that's completely invented or so, but I think it's like a character of a more simple me. So without the neurotic or without the whole complex. Yeah, it's like a sketch of myself.
So now you're an accomplished musician, as I said, about to embark on your 3rd album, but once, way back in the Mr. Times, studied to be a psychiatrist. Do you remember the moment where your path changed and you went from looking at a career in the medical profession to suddenly going, hang on, I can be in the arts, I can be a musician, this could be my thing?
Well, that's an interesting question to ask right now, because it turned out that since 3 months I'm working at a psychiatric hospital. So it was always, I never knew whether I was actually, my call was to make music and art or to go into medicine. And I still feel that ambivalence all the time. After I finished my studies in medicine, I kind of started to do more and more music, and it never felt like a decision to only do music, but it felt like one thing led to another, and I never really went back. And now 3 months ago, I started to work as a psychiatrist, and it's so much different from everything that I've known in the last 5 years that I did music full time. And I don't, to be honest, I don't know where my path will go from now.
They seem very different careers, very different jobs, but is there a crossover between the two? Do you think your background and training in that area helped you in songwriting, helped you understand how to convey, read, or even communicate emotions?
Yeah, well, first of all, it's all about the stories of people. About if I write songs or if I talk to people, it's always about like what experiences people had. But also, I think when you sit down with somebody and talk, it's sometimes hard to really get why that could be healing for the other person. And it's almost a bit spiritual. And I think it's all about the presence of being there in the moment with that other person and like go through the stories. And I feel like that when you play a live show, it's like group therapy. We all can sit down in a room and it's healing to everybody just being present in that very moment. And I think there's a similarity there.
Pina, Lovely to meet you. Really like Bittersweet. It does exactly what it says in the title. It's kind of heartwarming and heart-wrenching in equal measures when you listen to it. But thank you very much for coming on Freshly Squeezed.
Thank you for having me.
Tell me the truth or say nothing. You're all I think and all I dream. You say time will fix things, but I don't wanna forget. It's so sad, it's so good at the same time. It's bittersweet to cry. It's so sad, it's so good at the same time. Bittersweet. Met the band for rehearsal. I cried watching Paul playing drums. There was no way to hide it. Something in a way hit the snare to the song. It's so sad, it's so good at the same time. Feels bittersweet to cry. It's so sad, it's so good at the same time. Bittersweet.
Pina P, new tune called Bittersweet. She is from Switzerland. Not Sweden, Switzerland. Sorry, Pina. Sorry to the people of Switzerland and Sweden and any other nation that I've offended over the course of Freshly Squeezed In. I need to buy an atlas or a great big map or something like that. Anyway, last act on today's podcast comes from Manchester. I said the other week I didn't think we'd done a pod without at least one act from Manchester on it, and that was true because I completely forgot about Spin Class. They provide the music for Freshly Squeezed, the music here at the beginning and the end. That is Spin Class, brilliant Mancunian band. They're on every single episode. So not only was that fact true, but also you can check out more from them in the podcast description. Links for them and all the other artists that feature on this show are there. But finally, let's check in with John Denton. Not your first appearance on the podcast, John, so welcome back.
Thanks for having me back. How are you doing?
I'm very good. So I checked back as to when you were last on Freshly Squeezed. It was right back, episode 1, almost exactly a year ago. What's changed for you in the last 12 months? What's happened in the last year?
Well, I've got a decent following on TikTok now. I've had over 3 million views. I think my biggest video's got 70,000 likes.
Wow.
We've got tons of like Indonesian fans and like people from Thailand and stuff, which was proper funny. Yeah, so I've just released my new single, obviously with Modern Sky, who are a label in Liverpool, who I've recently signed to. It's going to be the self-titled song for my EP in May, I think. So yeah, obviously I'm buzzing to have that out. It's doing pretty well as of now.
We'll get into the single a little bit more in a moment. And Modern Sky, great fit for you. They've worked with the likes of Lottery and as before, Alex Spencer, really good at kind of bringing through those emerging acts. But what really stood out about what you were talking about then was the fan base in Indonesia. How has that come about?
Well, it's not like, listen, I'm not trying to exaggerate. Like, it's not all my fan base, if you know what I mean. I hope it's not anyway. So basically, I did a video of me playing Sally Cinnamon. I think like probably about 2 or 3 months after my interview with you, I just started getting into my TikTok, if you know what I mean, because it is the best platform really. Just doing tons of videos and stuff every day, just repetitively. And then I did a cover of Sally Cinnamon by Stone Roses. I think part of it was luck really, because the backdrop was good in my garden, and it was decent 30 seconds from me, and it just blew up basically. Like I think it got 70,000 likes within about 1 or 2 weeks.
Wow.
I think it got over 400 comments. And if you look through, it's just tons of people from like Indonesia and Sudan and Thailand. It was so funny reading some of the comments. They're all like saying that a lot of Paula de Valor and that, which is funny. I take it as a compliment, but yeah. It's
crazy how this stuff happens sometimes, isn't it? I guess the other milestone we kind of crossed over in the last 12 months is it's a year of solo work, and since you're in The Height as well, which was your previous band, have you settled into being a solo artist now? Does it feel like going solo was the right call compared to how it felt when you were in the group?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been great so far, yeah. I think it's the right thing for me, if you know what I mean. I think The Height was great, but I think it was probably something that needed to happen. And I think, yeah, I'm perfectly in the right place. And it's, considering it's only been 12 months, doing pretty well. I've done tons of stuff that The Height never did, I guess. So I think, it was a great kind of like educational, 3 years for me, in the band, like playing loads of gigs and learning about content and stuff and writing tons of songs. And obviously now I'm ready to come out myself.
I did notice that if you look on Spotify, it's only a very small metric, but if you look at your last or your first release, not the same, it's got double the streams of the Height's biggest release. So I guess there's some kind of validation in looking at those numbers and going, yeah, it was the right choice.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about before was Johnny Marr and the Johnny Marr Award that you won for new music. And I think when you listen to the brand new tune, Someone Else's Game, you can definitely hear a little bit of his influence in that track. It's got that kind of bright, jingly guitar sound that you associate so much with the man himself. Was that a conscious decision from your side to kind of go, this is going to be a nod to maybe some of his work?
I think, to be honest with you, I think that kind of like jangly guitar sound, I mean, no, I wasn't thinking of that. Like, well, I wasn't specifically thinking of Johnny Marr when I was writing it or recording it. But I think it's just always been something that, musically for me, it's just been there, if you know what I mean. Like, for example, my dad's a massive REM fan, and obviously they're quite similar, the kind of jangly guitar sound.
Yeah. So
I don't know, it's just, it's always been around me, if you know what I mean. And obviously that's what I love listening to now, like bands like Hers and obviously REM and Smiths, that kind of sound. And so, yeah, I think it's always just subconsciously been there.
I'm going to play the new tune, Someone Else's Game. There's a line in this and it says, wish I could be more, I'm probably going to get this line wrong, but it's something like, wish I could be more, what is the line? I've written it down, but then I think I've got it wrong.
That line's, sometimes I wish I could be something more, like to be in a band or to sound that tall.
That's the one. That's the line I'm thinking of. I looked at that and read it and I was like, this sounds like someone who is looking for identity, looking for confidence, looking to belonging and thinking that the solution to that might be in music. This might be a bit deep, but is that kind of autobiographical? Is that the journey that you've been on that maybe music has helped you find that sense of belonging?
I must admit, there's, and this is the first time I've said this to anybody, but there's a lyric in a Jam song and it's like, oh, to be a footballer or a movie star or something, like anything. And that's where I kind of found my inspiration from. I don't know really. I mean, I'm pretty tall and I'm in a band, so I don't know really. It's just a bit of a comedic line, if you know what I mean.
John, lovely to speak to you again. Great to catch up. I'm glad the last 12 months have been going well. I hope in another 12 months we get to speak again and we've seen even more progress, maybe even an Indonesian tour on the horizon. But cheers for joining me. Nice one for coming on, and we'll speak to you soon.
A bottle of heaven and I'm bored as a stick. I got up at 8 and I'm not tired yet. I'll sit around and watch the dog grow fur and I'll rot away just like the rest of the world. Sometimes I wish I could be something more, like to be in a band or to stand up tall. But if I try, I think I'll take my time, 'cause it's been some time since I felt alive. I think I might just take it on the chin, 'cause I know you're right and I know you'll win. You think it's easy but it's not the same, 'cause I'm playing the part of someone else's game.
I love it when we feature artists on Freshly Squeezed that are right at the beginning of their musical journey. So we had Pet Needs on earlier. They're on album number 4. John Denton, just a few tunes in the world, really raw talent, very up and coming, and you will be hearing more from him in his musical future. He's ace. So that was John. You heard from Pina P earlier on the podcast. Pet Needs as well. Links to all their music, more music you can listen to in the podcast description. Also there you will find links to the Freshly Squeezed socials. We're Squeezed Cast pretty much everywhere, but you can find the links there if it's dead easy. You will also find links to the Freshly Squeezed weekly new music playlist. That is a playlist which every Friday is updated with 10 new tunes, and also we stick the podcast on there to make it really easy to find. So there's loads of stuff. Go and have a read, go and have a click around, see what you fancy. In the future, might do a bit of merch on there as well. If you like the little fruit characters that accompany Freshly Squeezed, keep your eyes open. Might be able to get a tee or a thong or something like that in the future. Maybe the thong's not a great idea. I'll leave you to think about that, and I will see you next week for another Freshly Squeezed. Cheers to your ears. Stick that on a tee.
The award-winning Freshly Squeezed, a new music podcast, was devised, produced and hosted by Jim Salveson. Sound design and additional production by Ant McKinley. Theme music, Blue Blazer, is written and produced by Spin Class.